YouTube.
One grows up posh and the other gets into trouble. Oh, it's one of the great musicals. I'll think of it. Fabulous. You'd love it. Definitely one for young people because it's all about chances in life and everything.
Right. Okay, let's get everybody in and we'll get going. Just wait for the last couple of, excuse me. I'll just wait for the last couple of classes to join and we'll get going. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Teaching Live. And I'm looking at a blank screen where Mr. Corbett should be sitting. He's done his usual last minute. Oh, he's back. He's back. Good morning, Pie. How are you?
Hello.
That was really good time. I literally started speaking and I noticed your screen was empty.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, no, I'm fine, and I love the fact that I can sense a holiday is coming up in a few weeks' time, which is always very exciting. So looking forward to the break. But of course, today we're going to finish off our story and try and pull the threads together so that we get a positive ending, but maybe hinting that there might be a bit more in the offing. And of course, in the series, the Cogheart, there is a series that there are more books to be had. So if you really, really enjoyed that first one, then there are more books down the line. So looking forward to today. I saw there was some audio, some pretty lengthy chapters people are writing. So looking forward to that. How are you doing, David?
I'm very good. Very well, Pie. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas,
Yeah.
isn't it? I think a week on Friday is the magic day when most people will be leaving school for the festive period. But between now and then, I expect everyone's going to be very busy with lots of things going on in schools. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this all ends as well.
Yeah, and it's always a nice time of year, I think, in schools. And you've done a lot of good work this term, and then you just get to that end bit, and it's really exciting. And we used to do lovely things. Do you remember, John, doing where you make those stained glass windows?
Oh, yes. Stained glass windows, snowflakes,
Snowflakes, yeah.
snowflake doilies. And the caretakers. I've got a real frog in my throat this morning. The caretaker's nightmare, glitter and Pritt sticks.
Yeah. I used to have a caretaker called Mr. Potts, and he was really grumpy. He was only happy when children weren't in school. As far as he was concerned, he got everything looking nice, and then they came in and they ruined it.
Yes.
So, classic caretaker. Anyway,
It sounds like a new book, The Caretaker's Nightmare. I quite like the sound of that.
The Caretaker's Nightmare. Yes. Well, certainly could be a story. The Caretaker's Nightmare. What I want could even be a list poem, actually. What is the caretaker's nightmare? What awful things might they discover? We had one year, this is a nasty story, where when I worked in a village school, the toilets were all outside and they froze. And that was I'm not going to go into details, but it was a challenge.
I had my first school had outside toilets as well, Pie. That's how old we are, children. We had to go, Pie and I had to contend with outside toilets when we were at school.
Yeah. Right, we better crack on. I can see we've got all sorts of schools with us. So we got, as ever, Alfred Salter, Bolton Parish, Lancaster Road. So we got lots of folk joining in. I think is it Spring Hill? I keep getting the name wrong.
Yes.
There's somebody with a spring in their step somewhere.
Yeah.
So shall we crack into the first game, John?
Why not?
Why not? So I thought we'd play a little airship game. And if you get the uh, notes up, John, we're imagining that we're on an airship, a bit like John Hartman's airship, the Dragonfly. And obviously, children have invented their own airships. And there you can see it very nicely in red. So I've got 4 different settings that you're flying over. So you're in your airship and you're looking down, a bit like being in a hot air balloon and looking down. The first is flying over the sea and the coastline. So you can see the cliffs, the beach, if there are cliffs, the sand, the rocks, the sea. Maybe there's a river going out into the sea. So that's your first minute. The second minute is you're going over a city. Now, it could be a modern city, it could be a Victorian city, it could be a fantasy city, but you're going over some sort of vast city landscape. So you can see the houses and the towers and parks, etc. The third minute is going over the countryside. So you're going over the country and all the things that you can see there. I'm just pausing because there's a mistake in that next bit, but well, it's not no, I know what I meant. Over the countryside. So you can see hills, mountains, lakes, rivers, great forests. And the fourth minute is an option, either across a snowbound landscape or Amazonian landscape. So a snowbound landscape would be up in the north. So you could see the seals or maybe whales or some ships exploring. But of course, it's
Intervention, Pie. If
yes,
over a landscape, a land, including the word land, how do you see a whale?
because he's trying to be clever, isn't he? He's trying to catch me out. Look at him.
I am.
He's all happy when he catches me out. Well, of course, in the north, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because really, it's not really land because it's all ice.
I see.
If it because if it melted, then there wouldn't be any land.
Okay. Yeah.
You get places like Iceland and Greenland, which are land, but certainly Greenland, I think a lot of it is just ice, but I'm not too sure. And then you've got either a snowbound place or Amazonian. So that's a sort of jungle with great rivers, totally different. So we've got 4 different options, 4 minutes, right? Minute 1 is sea and coast. Minute 2 is city. Minute 3 is countryside. And the final one is either snow or jungle landscape.
Okay.
And we're going to bat it backwards and forwards. I can hear, I can see, feel, taste, and smell. Are you ready, David?
I am ready.
We are doing the sea, first of all, and the coastline. So do you want to start us off?
Okay. I can hear the squawks of diving gulls.
I can see the ragged cliff edge where rocks fall from the crumbling cliffs into the sea.
I can taste the bitter salt from the turbulent waters below.
I can feel the icy, wintry wind as it whips across my face, leaving a taste of salt.
I can smell the fear in my shipmates as we dive towards the cliff edge.
Okay, we've got, now we could go on with that for a minute. Then John will tell us, and then we're on to city. So let's just do city. I can hear the distant rumble of traffic on an inner city motorway far below?
I can see. I can see. Oh, I know what I want to say, but I can't think of what I want to say. I can see thousands of people busy, moving, and busy. Say busy and moving in their daily lives.
I can taste the fumes from the polluted roads and city factories.
Oh, I was going on that theme as well. I can smell the dark pollution from the chambers and chimneys bellowing smoke.
Okay, I think everyone's got the idea, John. So it's a minute on each one. If you can let us know when a minute's up, just keep going with your senses, what you can see and feel. Imagine you're looking over the edge. What would you see?
Okay, so I'll put the timer up. So it's this, I can hear, see, feel, taste, and smell. It's first of all sea and coast, then city, then countryside, then a snowbound or jungle landscape. Right. Timer is on. Change over to cities. Change over to countryside. And lastly, switch to jungles or snow. And that sound brings the game to an end. So we'll go straight to this morning's Padlet activity. So across the top, today's session, and down to Padlet activity number 1. Right, Pie.
Okay, well, I thought we'd look at 2 different things and practice them. The first is, I've got a column there saying dramatic events. So this is about shifting paragraphs, really, and also about introducing action and getting things going in a story. So let's imagine that you're writing a story and you've just written a descriptive paragraph of the setting. So you've got your couple of main characters. We've got Robert and Lily, let's say, and we get them into a setting. We describe the setting so the reader can see it. And then you want to inject some action, get things going, get the reader on the edge of their seat. So you need some sort of word or phrase. You shift paragraphs because you've done your setting. I mean, you think, right, now I'm going to get it going. Now, my favorite for opening a dramatic paragraph is at that moment, comma, and then they heard something or they saw something or caught a glimpse or there was a huge explosion or what, they noticed something without warning. Within a moment, in a flash, in the blink of an eye, within seconds, in an instant, out of the blue, instantly. They're basically all doing the same job there, John. They're allowing us to shift from everything being okay, basically, and then really getting things going. So something's going to happen. You're going to see something, you're going to hear something, you're going to notice something, a unicorn's going to appear, something's going to go on. I also put in 2 that are slightly different. The first is she woke with a start. So your main character is asleep and dreaming and then wakes with a start. And then you'd have to do a second sentence to add in the dramatic thing that had woken the person with a start. When you wake with a start, it's when you've got your eyes closed and you go, oh, what's that? Because you've heard something or sensed something. So that one would be 2 sentences. You'd write, I don't know, Jezebel woke with a start, full stop. And then you'd have a shadow shuffled at the other end of the room or whatever it's going to be. And then the other one is where you start with an ED starter. Amazed, he stared, and then you describe what your character is amazed by and staring at. So those 2 also allow you to get a dramatic event going. All the ones in red have capital letter and a comma. Then you put your sentence in and a full stop at the end. The 2 in blue, you'll have to do 2 sentences. Now, the other column is another way of making a shift in a story. And it can be very handy. And you referred to it the other day. I think last time, John, you referred to it.
I'm a big fan of time shifts.
Yeah. So my mother was useless at this. She once fell over in Tesco's. Instead of phoning me up and saying, I fell over in Tesco's, you got the whole story of how she got up, fed the cats, had her breakfast, got in the car, And this thing went on and on and on and on. And the point of the story didn't come for about 10 minutes. So a shift is very, very handy because you don't have to describe everything. So here are shifts in time. By sunset, they had arrived at their destination. Or by sunrise, the dragonfly had landed at the edge of the cliff. Or later that day, the following week, by the evening, the next day, hours later, seconds and minutes later, by the next morning, hours later, or repeated hours later twice. And in the blink of an eye, those are all to do with a change of time. Now, in the blink of an eye is a tiny shift in time. So it's where something almost happens in a blink of an eye. They've discovered they were in a new world. So that's when you go through a magical portal and it doesn't take longer than a second. Then you got further up, seconds or minutes later, they reached. And then you got a whole week or a month. It was a year later that, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. So I think it's straightforward, John, but let's get a good idea, reread it before you submit it, and let's make sure that we get that spelling right. And that's rather ominous where it says, this site cannot be reached. He's
David, the link to the Padlet isn't working.
Okay, let me have a quick look.
So I'll just, while David sorts that out, I'll just say that the time shift is really useful when, particularly on journey stories, where you could spend ages explaining how your main characters traveled across deserts, jungles, mountains, and you could explain the journey in great detail. But you can often leave that to the reader's imagination and just say, a week later, they arrived at their destination. And that saves all that exposition, all that explaining what happened in the journey. It's sometimes, you can go on and on and on about that, and it doesn't actually shift the story anywhere. Nothing happens. And so I think time shifts are very useful for that kind of thing. How are we doing, David?
Later that day, David fixed the problem. Yes, people might need to refresh the page and then try the link again. It should work.
Yes, it does work.
It was a rogue colon.
Can you unfreeze the Padlet, please, David?
I have it.
Oh, yeah, people are joining, so that's okay. Panic over. In an instant, David sorted the problem.
I can't see the thing I click on to make one.
That's because you need to, it's unfrozen, so it should be.
No, I can see it. I've got it.
There we go. Within seconds, David had fixed the problem with the Padlet. And noticed I've used a capital D for David and a capital P for Padlet because they are both proper nouns.
Within seconds, the house burst in flames. I think, Alex, it's probably burst into flames. The Droods had already arrived. I don't know who the Droods are, but I like the sound of the name. So, yeah, good work. Properly punctuated. 2 sentences. Well done.
And he's already edited it, Pie. That's impressive, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely on it there.
Well done, Alex. Alfred Salter. I was going to say Albert Salter there, but that would have been wrong. I wonder who Alfred Salter was. Perhaps somebody could explain who Alfred Salter was in a Padlet post.
I'll tell you what we haven't had this term, John, is we haven't had any teachers, as far as I know, contributing. We always like it when teachers contribute.
Oh yeah, when teachers add a sentence or two to prove
Yeah.
that they can do what right as well.
Theo from Lancaster.
In the blink of an eye, Sienna from Bolton Parish, River had fixed the problem with the laptop. Very good.
I like the name River. Theo, in the blink of an eye, you've missed something there. You can nip back and edit it. Otherwise, well done. Nura, hours later, comma, they only just were able to fix the leaking water pipe. Loving it. Scott, is that Scott Wilkie, SW?
Yes.
In a flash. What do we need after that? Nip back and edit that one.
10 minutes later, Blake was standing outside a building that said in big red letters, "The Four Arms Pub." I like that. Abigail, you need a comma after where it says 10 minutes later, comma, correct. Blake was standing outside a building that said in big red letters, comma, "The Four Arms Pub."
People are getting good at naming, John. I've noticed a lot of interesting names. So Logan from Lancaster has got Mrs. Croak as a I love it, Mrs. Croak. Ronnie, you need a capital letter. Nip back and edit that. Giles from Alfred Salter. In the sunset, the sky blushed in joy. Then suddenly it started raining and the ship malfunctioned. Raining looks odd, that spelling. It's because too many N's.
Blake and Oliver from Lancaster Road. So within seconds, Rob looked behind him and noticed there was an alien in the shadows next to the plane where it had crashed. So that's a really good example where you can make your writing more powerful by using show, not tell. And you could say, Blake and Oliver, within seconds, Rob looked behind him and noticed there was something in the shadows next to the plane where it had crashed. And then you've got your readers thinking, oh my goodness, what is it? What is it? What is it? Rather than just saying to them straight away, there was an alien in the shadows.
One from Alfred Salter. At that moment, I realized the hideous, vile troll had eaten my grandma. Loving the idea. Can you nip back and edit it because you need a full stop? Mia has done a really clever one, John. Listen to this. Even I get this. At that moment, a shiny blue butterfly swiftly flew up to Taylor and landed on her shoulder. How about that for cleverness?
Well done, Pie. You're definitely down with the kids still.
I am. I'm loving it. Frederick and Dimitro, Scott Wilkie, out of the blue, comma. You two need to nip back and get that comma in. A monstrous beast called a Doomfang rose from the ocean and devoured a Viking ship. So just nip back and edit that one. Well done, you two. Good idea. Liking it.
Within seconds, Rocky had fixed the problem with the airship. Got a random H in with there, Poppy. But apart from that, very good.
Poppy, at that moment, everything's moving. Scarlett had ran over to the airship. I think you need Scarlett had run over to the airship.
Or just ran.
Or just ran over to the airship. Theo, within seconds, Logan smelt burning smoke coming from out of the kitchen. I think you could just strengthen that coming out of the kitchen. See if you can find a slightly stronger verb there. You're on to a good idea, though.
Noah from Lancaster Road. Without a sound, Mr. Madhead, which is an interesting name, grabbed John and Clark in a room and locked them, leaving with no one with them. You just need to read. The name came out, Mr. Madhead. Without a sound, Mr. Madhead grabbed them. Just read that through and make sure that everything makes complete sense, Noah.
Now, Isla, you need some punctuation in yours. In the blink of an eye, Emma was running like there was no tomorrow. I think that should be as if there was no tomorrow. Isla was following. Sorry, Emma was running as if there was no tomorrow. Isla was following. They ran up to 50 kilometers until it got away. So reread that. There's certainly a couple of bits of punctuation you need. Amelia and Ollie, I like your idea of Steve was curious as he saw something mythical in the corner of his eye. And Leo, I'm liking Garfield smelled lasagna and noticed it was all for him, and then he ate it in the blink of an eye. Now you've got two ands there which jar a bit.
I quite like this. James from Alfred Salter. In a flash, Trix noticed a hand touching his shoulder. Trix was sweating as he didn't know what to do. I like that.
Lucy May, in the blink of an eye, Snout meowed. Now, I'm loving the name Snout. You need a capital as it's a name, of course. So you could edit that.
I think we're quite good at this one, Pie. We need to come out of this Padlet.
Do we? We're doing really well. And
time marches on.
the wonderful thing, John, is that that is so much better. If you go back to the first time, beginning of the term, that is such an improvement in the quality of the writing, the accuracy, people being able to edit. It's a real progress for us all.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So, quick look in the audio.
Now we've got some impressive stuff here, haven't we?
We have. Which one shall I go for, David?
I think if you go for blessings, I know we can't see that one there, but what I liked about blessings was we talked a lot about speed and delivery, John. And
Right.
I think this is a really good example.
So, blessing from Bolton Parish.
Elijah sat silently in the cold shed, gazing at the ground while Charles frantically searched for an escape route. He tried the window, but it was too narrow, and calling for help yielded no response. He pushed against the walls and attempted to pick the lock with a bobby pin, but nothing moved. Exasperated, he snapped at Elijah for his lack of effort, saying, "Instead of just sitting there like a stuffed animal, why don't you at least try to help?" Yet Elijah only sighed, insisting that the escape route was futile.
That's terrific stuff. Blessing, really, really good. Great reading and some really good vocabulary in there as well, Pie. What did you think?
Yeah, I love the reading. It was absolutely spot on. She's obviously practiced it, John.
Yes.
Thought about the meaning and then varied the pacing, little pauses, so that we could hear it. It was really good. Have we got time for another one?
Yeah, we'll go for a little bit more of another one. Which any of the others, David?
Let's go for Inaya.
Right.
I don't think we've had her before. I was just looking at Fatima's got a great one, and Lily and Isla are doing really well with this. Inaya, so that'd be interesting.
Chapter 3. Michelle was bored and was mourning while Hannah was trying to break open the door with her shoe. "What are you just going to be moaning or help escape?" asked Hannah in frustration. "But if we are going to escape, it will be impossible," replied Michelle. With that frustration, she had to do some belly breathing. Then at that moment, Hannah saw something in the movies. She saw people using bobby pins to open locks. So she tried that, but failed.
So there we go, Inaya. So yeah, have a listen to blessings, Inaya, because you kept changing the pace as you were reading that. So it's just really important that you practice before you record. But again, some really nice writing going on there, and you can read. I like the doing some belly breathing.
Yes.
which is really good. It tells me that she's getting quite anxious and needs to calm down. Which actually I thought was really good. So I liked that a lot. So well done, and well done everybody else from Bolton Parish who put their stories up. Right, onwards. We'll go on to Padlet number 2.
Well, we're going to practice using a dream. And this is a technique that you can use in any of your stories. It's quite an unusual technique. So what you'll notice here is you're not going to write the whole thing. You're going to write sentences. So just put the name of your main character. So let's say you've got Augury Black. I seem to remember from last week, John. Augury Black dreamed, full stop. And then you start to describe the dream. Now, in my one, I had Lily dreaming. So I wrote Lily dreamed and then full stop. And then I put down what she heard. First of all, a soft voice called her and she was running down a long, darkened corridor towards the voice. But as soon as she drew closer, the sound shifted further away. It was her mother's voice. She was sure. Lily still tried to see her, but 7 long years had passed, and all that she could remember was a fuzzy shape, a blurred outline, the feeling of warmth and that voice, something soft, something comforting, but always indistinct. Indistinct means you can't quite, it's not clear enough, you can't quite hear it. It was as if a part of her would be forever lost. So she's dreaming about her mum who passed away 7 years ago. Could have been her could have been her granddad, could have been a friend. So you have your main character having a dream. Now, my dream is about a person, could be about an animal, a pet, could be about a place. So we could have Augury Black dreamed. He was in a wood, a strange wood where sunlight fell in between the trees on the ground. At that moment, something appeared in his dream, something unexpected. It was a unicorn. So it could be a place, could be a magical object, could be a creature, could be a person. So let's get the first sentence down, John, and then introduce either the place or the person or the object. What can you hear? What can you see in the dream? And of course, it's got to be of something significant. So it might be the MacGuffin, or it might be a significant character to your main character.
Yeah, and it's really important that you tell your reader that it is a dream. Otherwise, they might get confused between what's happening in the story and the fact that it's a dream. So Lily dreamed, Lily fell into a dream, Lily drifted off and found herself dreaming. And that so you need to introduce it as a dream for your readers in order not to confuse them. It's a really important part of this technique. Thank you, David.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute.
Well, it could have been worse, I suppose.
I can almost hear the cogs whirring in people's brains.
Yeah, I know. I'm going for a place. I've got Snout Dreamed. I've stolen that name off somebody because I liked it. She was in a place that she had never been before. Now I'm going to describe it a little bit. Okay, so I've got Zane and Ayan from Scott Wilkie. Sorry if I'm saying your names wrong. Zane dreamed that the world would forget who he is for the greater good, but all that was in her mind was where the mask of deception was. There's a lot going on in there. I love that idea of the mask of deception. Lydia, try to remember to put your school in by your name. Emily dreamed of her mother cuddling up with her in bed. Yeah, it's a nice emotional bit there. Alfie, Jaffe drifted off. Like the way you've changed my opening and made it your own, Alfie. Good. A soft whimpering was heard all around her in a dark, flooded cave. Alicia dreamed, a loud voice shouting her name from a distance. Full stop. She was scared, but it turned out that it was her friend Anika. I think it would be, I think you give it away too early on, so you lose the tension in that one. Ruby and Coral from Alfred Salter. Liso dreamed. Cats rub across her body, but it's a nightmare for her. She was deadly allergic. She tried to escape, but after a while she gave up and accepted her fate. Ooh, that's a scary one.
Sienna from Bolton Parish. Scarlett drifted into dreams. She'd never been here before. It was warm. She heard a woman's voice. You need a full stop after it was warm. Sienna, it's just a really short sentence. She heard a woman's voice, then another. It was her mother and sister comforting her. I might be tempted to hold that bit of information back a bit longer and then maybe talk about what they were saying a little bit before revealing that it was the mother and sister.
Nana from Bolton Parish. Rose dreamed about a dark place that were filled with all types of crystals. That was filled. So you need to edit that one if you would. All types of crystals. You could add a bit on there. Glittering like, put a simile in. A sad Ron dreamed of his brother coming back and not feeling lonely all the time. You need to, that's a nice idea. You could build on that. Hassan dreamed a soft voice coming from the kitchen. Hassan, nip back and edit that. First of all, you need a full stop. And coming from the kitchen, I think you might get a stronger verb in there.
Alex from Lancaster Road. This has got potential, Alex. Alex drifted off into a dream. But then you don't need to say in his dream again. You can just say he heard. It doesn't have an ED. It's just heard, H-E-R-D. He heard a comforting voice he recognized. Full stop. But then he forgot as soon as he got closer. The voice drifted away. He started sprinting towards the voice. Just need to go through that, read it, and sort it out into sentences. You've got a really good idea going on there, Alex. Just needs a little bit of editing.
The two sorts of here. You got here and here, haven't you?
Yes.
I always remember the one to do with the sound is got an ear in it, EAR in the middle. So Giles, is it from Alfred Salter or Gillis?
Gilles.
Gilles. We've had this one.
Had it every week, Pie. Every week.
Yeah. Sophia dreamed. She dreamed about a voice guiding her to an enchanted forest where the flowers turned their comforting faces towards her. And there she heard the soft, kind voice of her father. Then everything went blank and she woke up crying. Maria, Cara dreamed. A heart-touching voice, I love that phrase, heart-touching voice spoke, and she was flying all around the clouds wanting to get closer to it. But the sound drifted further and further the closer she got. A nice little bit of writing. Well done. Jacobs is interesting. Just then a figure came to her, a tall man with a tool belt around him. He had a faux arm and an eye patch. Behind him was a beautiful airship that was very small. It was delightful as the tongue on the end of the ship locked the air. On the side, sorry?
I think it'd be licked.
Licked.
Yeah, licked the air.
Licked the air. On the side there was there were golden letters saying half tongue. The man started coming closer till Jaden was there. He was shaking her. Joanna then realized it was a dream.
Yeah, that's really good, Jacob. Like that.
You insert something like that into the middle of a story, it gives it a richness, a depth. It makes your main character be more real. You know, characters do sleep, they do dream, but of course, the clever thing is to weave into the dream something which becomes significant later on in the story.
Yeah, that's I think is important. If you're going to use this, whatever it is you're dreaming has to have it has to be important to the story. Otherwise it sort of is a distraction. You know, for example, you could be dreaming about a cave, and as you go into the cave, you suddenly realize that you're looking at the place where the MacGuffin is hidden, or something like that. So that's the kind of, so it's an important that whatever it's not just, oh, I fell asleep and had a dream and I dreamt about my pet and that was it. It's nothing to do with the story. It's got to be part of the story.
Haley from Alfred Salter, When the Stars Twinkled, Sally Dreamed. I love the way you've changed my opening and made it your own. A creature whispered in her ear. She frantically ran away but got haunted by the cobwebs falling from outer space. Suddenly an eagle. There may be too much in that. I don't know, Haley, but I'm loving the way you opened it. Max dreamed. He heard someone whisper his name. Nice start. And Hadia from Bolton Parish, Valentina drifted off. Again, you've you've stayed true to the idea, but you've changed my wording in order to make it your own piece. Valentina drifted off. Good name. Suddenly she heard footsteps coming closer.
I really like this one, Pie, because of the ending. This is clever. Isabella from Alfred Salter. Ella dreamed her best friend was there. They were playing in a field of nothing other than gorgeous, elegant daisies. But it couldn't have been her. Her story ended ages ago, didn't it?
Ah, clever.
Really like the clever rhetorical question at the end there. And then obviously, I think her friend is going to turn up in the story later. Terrific stuff, Isabella. Well done. Right, we need to come out of this one, Pie.
Well, that was interesting, John, because people were writing not sentences, but little paragraphs. And there were some tremendous ideas in there, really rich, imaginative ideas.
Yeah. There was some good stuff there, and some great things that which with just a little bit of tweaking could become a really good part of your story. So plenty of good stuff to go back and have a look at to see what works, and then to magpie it for your story. So we'll have a quick look at the gallery. If I go back to the session page. I can't remember what the gallery challenge was last week, Pie. Can you remind me?
Yeah, it was drawing Lily, the character Lily.
We've only got one.
We've only got one. We got Lily, who's actually, I think if it's the same person, has also been publishing on the audio. So working really hard there, John, to contribute.
There are more that have been added this morning. I'm just going to put them on now. So if you just flick back, you'll see them starting to appear.
Okay, so they've been put on this morning. Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Ava, that's a good one. I like that character. Ankle warmers, they were a thing quite a long time ago. Mame, I like this one as well. Very good.
Loads from that. Bolton Parish have gone for it again.
Yeah, well done, Bolton Parish. Really doing loads here. In fact, there's Leo. That's a great character.
Yeah,
very full of. I like the little detail, like the little earring there, and
Fatima, well done. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah,
Assad.
there's loads. Well
Maya,
done. Yeah.
Isha, Ariana, Zoya, lots of.
Have a look at the Padlet. So what's today's gallery challenge, Pike?
Well, this is the last one we're going to do. One
Yeah.
I personally quite like doing. So if you skim down, you've gone right past it.
It's this one
There
here.
it is. Four. Yeah.
Okay.
The old design and airship.
Oh yes, yes. We've had some great stuff. We've even had people making paper mache airships on this one, haven't we, Pi?
We
And
did.
Lego models as well.
Yeah.
All sorts coming into this one. So this is just design an airship. Now, what are these things hanging off your airship, Pi?
That is ballast. And ballast is those are big bags full of rocks. And it stops the airship floating up too high.
Okay.
But if you were going too low, you can drop one. And because the airship doesn't weigh as much, you'd go up a bit.
Okay, right. Got it. Right, so ballast. Very good. So airship drawings, airship paintings, airship models. You can approach that any way you like, but design your airship is the last gallery challenge of the season. So
I wouldn't mind seeing Father Christmas on an airship. It's just occurred to me that he might be out there with reindeer and goodness knows what, so that might be amusing. I don't know.
Yes.
You can have a few elves looking over with their cheeky little hats on. That might be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So airships.
Yep. Blog challenge, John. We're on the
get into the blog challenge. So
the last bit. So we've got to round the whole thing off. Chapter 3. They managed to escape. 20 minutes later, see, there's that little, I think that was the time shift that you commented on, John. They took shelter in an old barn. Lily told Tiberius what they had found out, and he sat listening, cleaning his muddy paws and sagely nodding. Sage means if you are a sage, you are a wise person. If you are nodding sagely, you are nodding full of wisdom. He had managed.
You do, Pie.
Sorry?
It's the sort of thing you do. I
try to. It's all false. My wife often says to me, "What are you thinking?" And I say, "No, I'm not thinking anything." Just over the years, I've tried to develop the ability to look as if I'm thinking wisely, but there's nothing going on much in here. So we're back to Tiberius had managed to sneak out when the professor had appeared. By then, Robert had gathered some wood, and soon they had a merry fire blazing, which warmed them through. They were free for now. But where was the clock and John Hartman's plans for the new airship? Where was John Hartman? So we're now going to round it all off. Chapter 4, Lily dreamed. Some opening with the dream. A soft voice called her, and she was running down a long, darkened corridor towards the voice. But as soon as she drew closer, the sound shifted further away. It was her mother's voice. She was sure. Lily still tried to see her, but 7 long years had passed, and all that she could remember was a fuzzy shape, a blurred outline, the feeling of warmth, and that voice, something soft, something comforting, but always indistinct. It was as if a part of her would be forever lost. She woke with a start. Morning sunlight filtered through the wooden slats of the barn. Robert had slept, but Tiberius was up and cleaning his fur. He paused mid-lick and stared at her with his green eyes almost closed. Lily crept over and began to wind the brass key. After a while, he stretched and muttered, "That's better. By all that ticks and tocks, it's time to get back what is rightfully yours. I saw the professor only 10 minutes ago, and the scoundrel," a scoundrel is an old-fashioned term for a baddie, "is preparing his silver airship. Up you get, lazybones. We've work to do." "Oi, I was having a good dream," protested Robert. Yawning, he stretched and rubbed his weary eyes. A moment later, another time shift, The gang of three unlikely musketeers. There was a very famous story called The Three Musketeers. Well, it was three of them, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, there was a fourth, which was always confusing, but there were the Three Musketeers were the main characters, but there was a fourth musketeer who kept appearing.
Yep. So they were sort of heroes. The gang of three unlikely musketeers clambered back over the wall towards where the silver airship was tethered. That means tied down. The heating fires roared and the balloon was filling rapidly. They watched as the professor carried a wooden box on board and placed it carefully down on the flight deck. As he made his way back towards Brackenbridge Manor, Tiberius hissed, "Heave ho, me hearties, here we go." Scampering across the field, Tiberius bounded up the wooden walkway. The children were just behind him, and it was Robert who undid the latch on the wooden casket. To their relief, the MacGuffin was there, with John Hartman's designs. Thieves, bounders, scoundrels, rapscallions, cutthroats, pocket pinchers, ram raiders, airship looters. That's a really good list of insults there, John. Rapscallion, that means a naughty person, roared the professor, rushing towards the airship at a speed that was impressive for a man of his size. Without hesitating, Lily grabbed the ship's guide ropes and slung the hooks to one side. Immediately, another time shift, the airship rose off the ground into the crisp morning air. The three companions watched as the professor stamped his foot and bellowed insults up at them, shaking his fist and spluttering. But already they were flying too high to hear what he was saying. A muffled shout from below decks had them scurrying, and there they found John Hartman, trussed up like a turkey at Christmas time. Lily severed his bindings and John hugged her close. But only for a moment, for already the ship was dangerously high. "Come on," he said, clambering on deck and taking control of the airship. "We'll put some distance between ourselves and that villain, find somewhere to land, and then seek out the bobbies. There'll be a price on his head, by jinx, for the insolent theft of my plans and kidnapping as well." Bobby.
Yeah, I was about to say, you need to explain what a bobby is.
Yeah, a bobby is the old-fashioned term for a policeman. So they're going to seek out the police. There'll be a price on his head. He'll be wanted for the stealing of the plans and kidnapping John Hartman as well. Now we get to the last bit to try and wrap it up a bit. Lily and Robert stood on deck watching the world slip by below as the airship drifted far above the towns and villages. Tiny houses dotted the edges of the fields that now looked like a quilt of many shades of green, and the roads ran like ribbons threading the countryside together. Robert grinned at Lily as she buttoned up her coat. A few frail flakes of snow began to fall, and the winter wind kissed her cheek. It would soon be Christmas, and at least she was back with her beloved papa. Tiberius curled up on deck and snoozed.
That's great, and I like that final paragraph, Pie. It's kind of everything's back to normal. Life is happy.
Yep.
Everybody's relaxed, and you could if you were going to write a sequel, you might have something appearing in the distance or something.
Yes.
But you don't have to do that. You can just wind it up. So good time shifts in this, Pie. Lily dreamed she woke with a start. A moment later, so it's a bit of a time shift there. Immediately, the airship rose off the ground. A little time. It was one of those very short time shifts there as well. So, okay, so that's the final chapter. We're looking forward to reading your final chapters. We've had some great writing this term. Some really good quality input from everybody. Really impressed. If you're wanting to sign up for next term, teachers, the information is all on the TeachingLive website. If you go to subscribe, you'll see what we're doing next term. Next term's book is a different type of book altogether, isn't it, Pie? What are we doing next term?
When the Sky Falls by Phil Earle, and it's set in the Second World War, evacuees. So in the Second World War, a lot of children, because there was bombing going on of the big cities, a lot of children were sent from the cities. So places, Birmingham and Manchester, Leeds and London, of course, they were sent out into the countryside to live with people. Anyway, it's set in that time, and it's based on a true story. Now, if you like the author Michael Morpurgo, who writes good stories, emotional stories, you're going to enjoy this. But it features, if you like animals, you'll enjoy it as well. Don't want to give too much away, really.
So this is a terrific book. It's a terrific book.
Yeah.
But we're also doing grammar next term as well. So if you've got year sixes building up to SATs, then we're doing TeachingLive grammar next term as well. So please do sign up. We've loved it this term. We've had a really great writing, and we've seen real progress with everybody. So we hope you've got as much out of it as we have. But that's it from us. We all hope you have a fantastic Christmas holiday period for everybody. And we will hopefully see you next term. So it's bye from me.
Yeah, great work, everyone. Well done. Bye from me.
Yep, well done. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully see you in January. Have a great Christmas.
Okay, so yep, teachers, if you need any more information, do get in touch and we will be happy to provide you with all the information you need for next term. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.